Did you know Florida may just be the best state in the United States to buy real estate right now? I will tell you why and also tour some awesome properties with Saxon Evans and Rob Rotter. It is just ahead. It's You Have Real Estate. Welcome to You Have Real Estate with me, attorney Justin Clark. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, renter, seasoned investor, or just looking to sell your home, this show is designed just for you. Think of it like hitting multiple open houses, all from your living room, with my attorney advice throughout the way. If you have any questions whatsoever during the program, I have people standing by right now to take your call. 407-205-0400. Or if you want to start that house hunt this weekend, you're going to need a pre-approval letter. Dallas Lehman with You Have Mortgage is standing by at that same phone number. It's 407-205-0400. Great show for you today. You're going to love this program. And now it's time for the opening statement. You know, I'm very bullish on the real estate market in Florida, but there's something else I'm bullish on as well, and that is solar energy. I had a $500 electric bill that is now $50 because I made the change to solar, and I did it through IQ Power Solar. Stephen Bader, my good friend, COO of IQ Power Solar, tells us how I did it.
You know, the EPA puts out a graph that rates states and areas for productivity in regard to photovoltaics or solar panels, and Florida ranks pretty high, so solar is a lot more valuable here than in other states. One of the largest differentiators between us and our competitors is we constantly try to understand electricity. And in reality, solar has a different value to every single home based on their behavior and the way that they live their life. And if you don't really look at those things, you can't really gauge a proper ROI. Our programs are all no money down programs. They're not designed to get money down or to get any money up front. They're designed to essentially have you into a program where your payment is less than what you're already paying on your electric bill. It's supposed to be a very easy, seamless transition. There's very rare cases where, if someone, doesn't necessarily qualify for the better programs or subprime lenders, et cetera, but it's no money down. You don't pay until after it's installed. You're already saving money before you pay anything.
I have never been more excited about the Florida real estate market than I am right now. I mean, as we sit here today, we're basically at 2006 prices, 14 years later. I mean, we're in a really, really good place. But more importantly, we have 906 human beings moving to this state every single day. That's like creating the city the size of Orlando every year, a whole new city of people moving to this state once a year. It's unbelievable. And also, think about it like this. We're only the 20th most expensive state when it comes to real estate, yet you have to admit we're in the top 3 or 4 when it comes to beauty. I mean, everyone wants to live in Florida. Okay, maybe California, but we don't really want to go there, let's be honest. Arizona's warm, no real oceans. I mean, Florida is right at the top of the list, but it's only the 20th most expensive state. I love Florida, but let's look at the prices in Florida. You're like, oh, well, it's so expensive to buy houses in Florida. No, it's really not. The average list price of a house in the state of Florida, and Central Florida is actually a little bit less than this, but in Florida alone is $299,000, which breaks down to $167 per square foot. That's pretty good if you look nationwide. Look at Washington, D.C. Average list price, $599,000, $547 per square foot. Hawaii, beautiful place, long expensive flight, $635,000 average list price per square foot, $521 per square foot. California, and we know about the taxes out there too, $549,000 average list price, $320 per square foot. Look at the average list price here, under $300,000. Here in Florida, $167 a square foot. And with the mortgage rates where they are, 3.8%, you would have to be crazy not to buy, especially if you're renting right now. If you're renting right now, I can guarantee you're paying more for rent than you would pay for the mortgage on the exact same house. Another thing, look at the property taxes here. Some people come into my office and they complain, oh, my property taxes are so high. They're really not. Florida is right in the middle when it comes to states. We're like the 25th most expensive property tax state. The average property tax here, $1,700 per month. New Jersey, average property tax in New Jersey, $7,600 per year. And you wonder why I'm bullish on the Florida real estate market. I don't think there's ever been a better time to buy. And I want to be very clear. I'm not just saying this to be positive or, I'm trying to push the real estate market. This is 100% how I believe. I don't necessarily think there's ever really been a better time to buy. I think we have a great state, no state income tax. Now's a great time to be a resident of Florida. And now it's time for real questions. Every Saturday here on You Have Real Estate, I ask real questions to the truly trend-setting people in Central Florida's real estate community. Today on the show, I have Saxon Evans. He's going to talk about the commercial real estate world. And then Rob Broder is going to talk about the residential world. Welcome back, Saxon. How are you? Now, Phil, didn't we have a conversation about not bringing him back on because he's so young and handsome? How did this guy get back on the show?
I bribed him.
You bribed? Is that what it was? Hold Thyssen or Tyson. What's the right way?
Hold Tyson, hold Thyssen, whatever you want.
All right. You do commercial.
I do.
Now, do you see any regular people like me who are looking to do investments? Mm-hmm. Can people invest in commercial deals at all?
Absolutely. A lot of the times you can get them for about the same price that you're selling an average house in Florida for.
So if I'm going to buy a commercial piece of property, what kind of down payment am I looking to pay? I mean, how much is down payment?
It really depends on the type of property you buy. If you buy, $1 million property per se, you're going to have to put down at least $250,000. But usually you have an income stream coming in that offsets your mortgage. Right. So net, it's usually a wash, if not something better for your portfolio.
So I imagine you see a lot of business owners who are debating, okay, should I own my own business here, but I don't know if I should rent my space or should I buy the space? I mean, what are some of the positives and negatives to renting versus buying as a business owner?
It's a good question. When it comes to buying, the buyer or the tenant is able to actually go out and lock in a rate for 5 to 10 years. If you're renting a couple years down the line when you have to renegotiate your lease, and let's say the market gets a lot better, then you're kind of at the whim and mercy of your landlord. And if you plan on being there for 10 years, probably not the best idea to keep renting.
Gotcha. What when I'm buying, what kind of interest rate? Now we talk about 4% interest rates for residential, basically. What is commercial looking like?
So typically, right now it'd be pretty good if you got 4%. Oh, yeah. For the Walmart that we'll be showing later, that one's a little bit of the higher class, and we're getting down to 3.3%. But it's a blue chip stock for the most part, so people are willing to take more risk on it.
Yeah. Do you enjoy doing lease or purchase better? What's more fun for you?
I typically will never do leasing unless it's for a client that I like, and it's almost a favor. But I love sales and I love getting someone in the right spot. But leasing, like I said, you're kind of at the mercy of your landlord, and I kind of want people to be a little bit more independent.
In residential, you've made it when you don't really work with buyers anymore.
Sure.
You only do listings. Is commercial similar, or is it different?
It's almost the opposite.
Oh, really?
So you go out and try to find the listings, and then you find your good set of buyers that you trust, and they transact 6 to 10 times a year, and then you find what they need.
Gotcha. So let's say that I am looking to lease, though. I'm just not ready to buy. I'm a business owner, but I do want to lease. What kind of negotiation can I do as the person who's looking to lease this unit? I mean, can I talk about build out, terms? I mean, what kind of negotiations really go on there?
Practically anything under the sun is fair game. You could come in and say, I need, let's say, $100,000 to finish my build out, but I don't want to pay rent for another 6 months or an abatement. There's everything you can do, and it all depends on the vacancy in the area and whether or not the landlord's really scared he's going to lose you as a tenant, and the cost to get a different tenant in there is more than what you're asking for.
Any idea why whenever we look at commercial property for lease, that it does the price per square foot, like we have to do it based on the year? It's so confusing to me. Help me understand this.
You know what? Residential is confusing for me because it's the opposite. Yeah. And this is all I know. But it's just a way that you can look at the year and say, okay, that's going to be my net expense, and do it that way.
Gotcha. So I think we all know the residential market right now, pretty strong, maybe slowed down a little bit, but you see all these articles all the time, and people can really keep up with how we're doing residential-wise. But we don't really necessarily know how we're doing commercial-wise. Sure. How would you describe the commercial market now?
I'd say nationally it's trending downward. We have a situation where we have a lot of people moving away from states with high taxes, like you said, California and New York and the Northeast, trying to come to Florida because they're chasing what yields are left. For instance, with that Walmart, the yield on that is 4.25%. And if you get a loan on that, that's a very low yield at the end of the day. But people are coming down here as a safe haven.
Rob just nudged me, and he wanted to know what yield means.
Yeah, just the percent you get. So if it's a $10 million property and you're making $425,000 net, your yield would be 4.25%.
Gotcha. It was me asking. I was embarrassed. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness. Is the leasing market and the purchase market kind of always going up and down together, or do they vary?
It really depends on the product. So usually office is the last thing to top out and the last thing to come back, and then industrial's in the middle and retail is usually first. So it depends on what product you're working, but it's hard to really nail it down. It's just all moving, and you just have to get in front of it.
So let's say I'm a business owner right now, and I'm looking to lease 3,000 square feet in Maitland, in one of those big office buildings in Maitland. Is the price now per square foot, as we see here today, more or less than it was, say, 3 years ago?
The price per foot is definitely more than it was.
It's more
before.
now.
Yeah, the population has gone up, and a lot of people are coming to Orlando for work instead of tourism, which is great for us, but it causes prices to go up, and good high prices are good for us, but at the end of the day, hard to buy, and so a lot of people are forced to lease.
Pull out the crystal ball for a moment. So as we see here today, let's say that I'm looking to rent a space. It's $18 a square foot right now in Winter Park.
Yes.
3 years forward, is it going to be more or less than it is right now?
Oh man, the young pessimist in me says that it's probably going to be about the same, if not less, just because I think historically we're going to have an interest rate increase, which is going to make it harder to get loans and therefore pull down values of properties. So rent will probably come down. So I say, if you're going to do a lease, make it short, make it 1 to 3 years instead of the long 5 to 10.
Right.
If it's going to be 5 to 10, you might as well buy it.
I've got a buddy who's working on a restaurant in Apopka, and it's taken forever to build out, but it's expensive. When you lease a space to put a restaurant in, you got a lot of expenses there. I mean, do the landlords typically pay some of those and offset some of those expenses, or is that the business owner?
Sometimes. It's all negotiating how good your broker is. If your broker comes in and says, we'll make a beautiful build out, we'll be here for 25 years, and you can really sell that to them, then the landlord will say, okay, well, I'm willing to give you a little bit more. But if you just come in there and demand it, usually the landlord says, the market's hot right now, move along.
Personal guarantee, what is that?
Personal guarantee is, let's say you started your business and you brought it in and took a lease somewhere. Then personal guarantee is if you decide not to pay your lease and you have 4 years left of it, you're personally responsible for the remaining 4 years of rent up front.
What do you normally see?
Usually the landlord can fill someone in, and then we usually let them off the hook because we're not in the business of trying to just grind someone down, especially someone who's having a hard time.
Right.
So usually it's about 6 months where they're going to be on the hook for it, and then if you have a good broker, they can get you out of it and sublease it to somebody else.
So, I mean, let's say I sign a 5-year lease for this commercial property. Would they say, okay, you have a personal guarantee up to like 6 months or 9 months? Would they ever do it like that?
The tenant might try to do that, but typically it's going to be for the entire term.
The whole deal.
Yeah, if we're gonna save that space for you for 5 years, then we're going to require some guarantee.
I mean, take my word on it. If you're looking to lease commercial property, I understand that you have a business plan and business is going to go great, but a lot of businesses unfortunately do fail. If you can try to get out from under that personal guarantee, do it, because it can come back to bite you later. So you're all excited about the business. Make sure you really read through these documents. These lease agreements are a lot of times one-sided towards the landlord.
Very much.
Be very careful. Have a lawyer review them or something, because they can really kind of screw up your personal life too if heaven forbid business doesn't go that well.
Absolutely.
Saxon's got a couple of properties to show us here today. You're going to take us over to Melbourne.
Yes, sir.
Brevard County, booming.
Booming.
Tell me about this one.
This one's a service station, so this was recently re-flagged into a 76. They went in, did all the signage and the painting and all that. And actually, this is one of the times I did leasing. We put a guy in there. He's doing great now, and he's operating a nice lease, and traffic's good, so the owner's looking to sell it for a return. And
what kind of price tag are we looking at here?
This one's $950,000 for the whole site, including 8 to 10 pumps and the inside, outside, everything. So
when you buy something like this, there's an owner who's actually running the business inside, I guess, and you're just buying the real estate?
Service stations are interesting because usually you'll have the owner of the building running the site. But sometimes if the owner has 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 sites, then they'll go and sublease it out to somebody who will run their own business, and they can either rent out the oil outside or they can rent out the inside or both.
I always hear about this environmental stuff with gas stations.
Nightmares.
What is that? What's the big issue with that?
Absolutely nightmares. You have a situation back in the 80s and 90s, you had fiberglass tanks and iron tank caps, and in Florida everything rusts, so all that oil would come out and go into the ground all around there. So if you have that problem, you have to go in, and usually the feds put some pressure on you, and you got to dig it all out and put new soil in there. The good thing about ones by the beach is it's so close to the saltwater. The saltwater washes a lot of that oil out over time. Yeah, so you get away with a little bit more, but nowadays everything's so up to code that it's more of a 90s issue. So Just watch the age.
All right, one more property here for Saxon. A little bit further south, Boynton Beach, South Military. Tell me about this.
So this is a 8.5 acre piece on the corner of South Military and Coconut down in South Florida. And we had Walmart go in there in 2015 for a ground lease. They built that entire building on their own and paid for it. And
Walmart built it?
Oh yeah, and they're renting that ground for another 15 years, and then 16 5-year options on top of that. So 90 years from now. Plus there's a Dunkin' Donuts, a dentist, a nail salon, and then one of those new smoke shops. So
I imagine having Walmart as a tenant's probably a pretty decent.
It's
decent
great.
Gig,
we don't bug them; they don't bug us. And
hey, they just send checks.
They just send
timely
checks.
checks.
They pay all of the expenses.
Unbelievable. What kind of price tag if I'm looking to invest in something like this?
8.5 acres down there just for land would be probably close to 7 to 8 million. The whole thing with the income is only 10,060,000.
So what kind of person would buy that? I mean, is this like a huge corporation, a real estate trust out of California, or like individual people buying things like this?
They're all coming from the Northeast, and you'd be surprised. There are a lot of private guys who have a lot of money.
Is that right?
So the larger institutions are usually less inclined to go after a development case. This has a corner piece that's also included, which has an acre, so it's probably going to be a private buyer that takes it down.
No kidding. Nice life.
Nice to be them.
Keep up the good work, man.
Yeah,
You're going to
appreciate
stick
it.
around for the Real Estate Roundtable, I
Absolutely.
hope. All right, we'll see you in just a minute.
Thanks.
Now, you used to work here, Rob. Welcome back to WKMG, first of all. Rob Rodders here. He's a broker associate with Stockworth. I hear this broker associate thing sometimes. What does that mean exactly?
So broker associate means you could be a broker on your own. In the state of Florida, as a licensed agent, you need to work for a broker. And I could be a broker, but I choose not to be. I choose to have the broker designation, but I work underneath another broker.
Less liability for you too, probably, right? A little
and really,
bit.
I focus on my business, not the brokerage business. That's really the idea of it.
Exactly. So where do you really focus? What part of town?
So mostly Southwest, Orange County, and then obviously we kind of spill over into other areas. Got a listing in Bella Clean that we're going to talk about. Also sometimes working to Seminole County, more luxury communities than anything else, but that tends to be the focus.
And while Saxon, of course, focuses on commercial, your focus is residential, and two totally separate things. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's very hard for one real estate agent to handle both. I mean, sometimes you maybe play a little bit in both, but I mean, really you should specialize in residential or commercial.
Yeah.
They're different animals.
If you're going to a doctor, you want to go to a doctor who specializes in that area, and the same thing with the residential and commercial real estate.
So you know how I feel about Florida in general and the real estate market here. What do you see for 2020?
Yeah, I mean, we're everything's great. We're looking very encouraged for the new year. The growth coming to Central Florida and Florida in general, as you mentioned, is very attractive. You talked about what the median home price is for the state of Florida, just under $300,000. If you look just locally, our board is telling us our median home price in November was $240,000, so even more affordable in Central Florida than elsewhere. And we see, I think the stat I heard recently, I think it was something along the lines of we're going to add the size of Orlando to the state every year for the next 6 years.
Crazy.
So even a discussion this morning with a friend, and she was saying that they're buying a house, and they were getting conflicting information from another friend saying, "Oh, this is a crazy time to buy." And I'm thinking, well, I don't know what they're looking at, because everything we look at says this is a great time to buy.
When you look back on that decision to leave here basically and become a real estate agent, what went through your head, and do you remember where you were sitting when you finally said, you know what, I'm going to do this?
I had been doing real estate for about 5 years when I was still here. Yeah. So, it is interesting, because we find out that 90% of people, when they get their license in real estate, especially residential, 90% are not in the business 18 months after they get their license. So when you're looking for an agent, find out if they've been in the business more than 18 months, because those people who are in it for the long haul are the ones that, they have some runway. They lead up doing something else, or they focus on, or they have another stream of income. And if you're able to make it, 2 years in this business, then you're farther ahead than most people.
Yeah. While I think there's certainly, if you look at the stock market, a recession approaching, maybe even it's a mild recession. There's definitely a recession coming, in my opinion. And then when I say that now, people are like, oh, we're going to have another crash of the real estate market like we did in 2008, 9, 10, 11. Do you see that happening?
No, you have to remember that real estate is local. So we're talking about neighborhoods. We're talking about where people live. So when you talk about recession, you're talking national. We don't live nationally. We live locally. So when you see the growth coming to Central Florida, you see homes selling here, people still want to be here. The sunshine, the weather we're having right now is spectacular. And the growth, the schools, the restaurants, the theme parks, Universal's adding another gate. I mean, all these things that are happening, those are bringing jobs to our area. So yes, optimistic view perhaps, but I think there's really substance to that.
So that whole southwest area that you work in, I mean, we know about Isleworth, we know about the really expensive communities. Are there any communities kind of surrounding there that are still affordable for people like me?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're to the west of Isleworth, you're looking, Windermere. If you're looking off the 535 corridor, there's new communities coming in there. And then, if you stretch it out even more toward its Winter Garden, technically, but the Horizons West project, between Horizons West and Lake Nona, that's where all the development is coming for Orange County, the bulk of it at least. Yeah. And so that's where we're seeing people coming in. And so the Horizons West project is a huge driver for growth in this area. And you go out there and you're driving through the neighborhoods. Waterley, some of those communities are adding 30 to 40 homes a month. It's staggering.
Yeah. Speaking of comebacks, I will never forget when this whole foreclosure crisis hit in 2008, 2009, one of the most impacted communities that I ever saw was a place called Bella Collina.
Right.
I mean, they were selling lots there in 2006 for $600,000, $800,000 that literally you could buy for $20,000 there for a while. It was incredible.
Sure.
But just like everything else, Bella Collina, first of all, it's always been beautiful. I mean, the golf course, the restaurant there, the clubhouse,
yeah.
Absolutely a beautiful place. It always has been. But this place was decimated by the real estate collapse. What a comeback. Rob, you've got a property there as well.
Yeah, this is on Veta Drive. This is actually a single-story villa, just under 3,000 square feet, and built by Phoenix Companies. This is a beautiful home right on the golf course. This is on the hole number 16 on the signature Sir Nick Faldo golf course. And large pocket doors open up, reveal a beautiful home, open transitional area, beautiful kitchen area. The kitchen in this home is rivals what you'd find in a multi-million-dollar home. And this really has a great opportunity because being a single-story home offers a whole different opportunity for buyers, especially senior buyers or those who are really not looking to have multi-stories in their home. This is a great opportunity. That right there is, when I look at the kitchen area, great room area. This is one of the best priced homes in the area, $799 right now on the golf course. And yeah, as you mentioned, if you're out there looking to Bella Collina, this is a great time to buy in there because there's growth coming. There's lots of potential for growth. You buy this home, there's a $40,000 club membership that's included. You can ride your golf cart down the street or walk to the 75,000 square foot clubhouse right there at Bella Collina.
Wait, so the membership's included?
Yeah, $40,000 membership included in the purchase of this home.
That's a pretty big perk.
Absolutely.
And there are hills down there. I mean, it's kind of like a different part of Florida. It's hilly. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. There's hills. There's lakes. It's a guard-gated neighborhood. It really is a destination community and one you should really check out.
Now, how is it pretty easy to get to town too? Let's say you work
absolutely.
in Orlando. Is it hard to get here?
Oh, it's a straight shot. Absolutely. It's a lot closer than people think. I think you can be downtown in 25 minutes depending on your traffic.
$799 down in Bella Collina is a pretty good deal. If you have questions, I'll hook you up with Rob right now. All you have to do is call 407-205-0400. Now let's go to Isleworth. Probably a little bit more expensive. Tell me about this one.
This one's a beautiful home. This is probably the best value right now. This is on the lake. This is on the Butler Chain. This is 6117 Lake Louise Drive. This is on Lake Louise, which is on the Butler Chain. This sits in a private cove on the lake. So this lake, Lake Louise, is actually surrounded only by Isleworth, which really gives it a nice, distinct feel. And you're in the cove, a private cove. Square footage in this home is only 5,700 square feet, which is actually a smaller home by Isleworth standards. This is in the Isleworth West section. So there's three phases in Isleworth. You've got the main section that we call it the B section for Butler, and then the Isleworth West side. But great home here. This is a great opportunity. There's actually room to add on if it's not large enough for you. Technically a 4-bedroom. It's got room to add on either a 5th bedroom or an office. And they recently redid the flooring in this home. Great opportunity. This is right on Lake Louise, 52 square feet, priced at $2,745,000.
$2,745,000. But look, an Isleworth for that size of a house, that nice. I mean, on the lake.
Well, on the Butler Chain. I mean, we're at $499 a square foot. So anything under $500 a square foot considered a great buy in all of Isleworth or even Windermere on the chain.
Rob Rotter, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you.
You're going to stick around for the Real Estate Roundtable,
Absolutely.
I hope?
Sure.
All right. And now, without further ado, it's your time of the show. It's time for the Real Estate Roundtable. Every Saturday here on You Have Real Estate, we answer your questions from throughout the week. All you have to do is go to the website, youhavepower.com, and you can ask me questions right there, and we might just address your question next week here on You Have Real Estate. Let's go to Sam in Tampa. Love the show. I watch on Facebook at You Have Real Estate. I'm thinking of selling my home, but it needs a new roof. What should I do?
Do it.
Do the new roof
Yeah,
before you sell it?
Yeah, I mean, a new buyer is going to want a new roof, and I mean, no one wants to hear that, but obviously, a new buyer coming in knows they're going to need to pay, put in a new roof. You're going to pay for it one way or the other.
Sandra, up in Sanford, what down payment do I need to come up with for a commercial property?
It really depends on the product, but if you're looking at mid-tier, you're going to need at least 25%.
And can like the seller ever hold a note or anything?
Absolutely.
Or is that,
Seller financing happens all the time.
do you see a lot of seller financing in,
I do.
in commercial?
Things under $3 million, you'll see it. People trying to sell their businesses, and a lot of times they're willing to take that note because they can get 5-6%, and if they put it in the bank, they're making 2 if they're lucky. So.
Gotcha. Chuck, up in Marion County, I live on a ski lake. It's a small one, but it's skiable. How does that affect the value of my home?
Absolutely, it's great.
What kind of effect will you normally see on
You know,
it?
it depends on the area. I don't know Marion County as well, so I'd have to ask a local consultant, somebody who specializes in that area. But absolutely, if you're a skiable lake, you know, God's not going to make any more water. So if you're on the lake, you're obviously head and shoulders above everyone else. If it's skiable, even better.
Yeah. Will in Sorrento says Lake County seems to be growing like crazy around me. How do you see the home and property values in Lake County? What do you think?
You know what? I'm going to have to let our guest here take that. I don't know too much about residential.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see the same thing. I mean, any of our metro areas, we're seeing appreciation growth. So our last numbers that we're working off of right now show home sales year to year are up 3%, and home prices are up, as we already talked about before. I don't think we're going to see anything that's going to change that. Obviously, this is going to be a critical year with an election, but you know, that's not going to affect the value for most people on their homes and the property values here. Sure. Even if you see a leveling off, that's not the worst case scenario. I don't see anything that's going to show us going down.
John in Orlando, it's going to be a nasty election this year. The stock market's going to take a big hit. How is it going to affect the commercial real estate market?
You know what? We really only care about the returns when it comes to what the banks are willing to lend and what the Fed's pushing. So if interest rates stay low, then the market will likely hold up. I don't think the interest rates will stay low. I think we'll go back to our typical, which is more like a 6 or 7 on the 10-year yield, which is a 8 to 9 on the private side. So if that happens, I think prices will come down.
Saxon Evans, Holt Thisson, thanks for being here again,
Love to
buddy.
be here.
Good
Thanks.
to see you. Come
Good
join
to
us
see you.
anytime.
Absolutely.
Okay. Rob Rotter, awesome to meet you finally over with Stockworth. You guys are doing a great job down there.
Appreciate it.
Come
Thank
back
you.
and see me sometime.
Will do. Thanks.
Thanks for coming. Most importantly, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions about anything we talked about, all you have to do is call. People are standing by right now, 407-205-0400. If you want to start that house hunt right now, you're going to need a pre-approval letter. That's why Dallas Lehman is standing by as well at 407-205-0400. I'm attorney Justin Clark, and I'll see you again right here next week for You Have Real Estate.
You Have Real Estate with attorney Justin Clark is sponsored by Margaritaville Cottages, Orlando.
Thank you so much for joining me today here on You Have Real Estate. Don't forget to check us out Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. over on Florida Man Radio 105.5, or download the Florida Man Radio app. I love seeing you on TV. I look forward to seeing you on the radio.